Good morning, everybody. Welcome to July. I can't believe it's July. The July Employment First Topics and Tactics session. We are thrilled to have you here with us. This should be a really great discussion today. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. We love it when everybody introduces themselves. I want to let you know that you can turn on captions if you need to. If at any point during the session you have any accessibility issues, please reach out to the Sonoran Center person labeled as the Sonoran Center. She has a name, it's Ava. We appreciate her, but she can help you if you have accessibility issues this morning. We are happy to be working on our monthly series that equips job seekers, employment professionals, parents, and partners with tools and strategies to help advance employment first principles in Arizona. I think you all know me. I'm Gina Griffiths. I'm your employment first coordinator. I will just remind our presenters and any attendees that talk to not speak too quickly in case anyone is using captioning. We want to help make that successful for everybody. We always begin with a land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge the University of Arizona is on the land and territories of Indigenous peoples. Today, Arizona is home to 22 federally recognized tribes, with Tucson being home to the O'odham and the Yaqui. The university strives to build sustainable relationships with sovereign Native nations and Indigenous communities through education, offerings, partnerships, and community service. And I have one more quick housekeeping note before we jump into today's topic. The Arizona Employment First Initiative continues to actively seek stories related to self-employment. If you are an entrepreneur, if you've worked with entrepreneurs with disabilities, we would love to hear about your experiences. If you're connected to any groups or networks that focus on self-employment, please connect with us. We're looking for success stories as well as stories that illustrate some of the barriers. And we know that you all who join us are employment first champions and consistently working to increase competitive integrated employment outcomes. And we thank you for that partnership. So today, I think most of you have probably heard that there's been a customized employment pilot in Arizona going on. Today, we're going to learn about the lessons learned through this pilot. The panel's going to talk about some of the things that worked, some of the challenges they faced, and how they adapted along the way for success. So leading that discussion is a woman who I am privileged to have as my boss and my friend, our Arizona Employment First Program Manager, Jessica Winchester. And joining her is Vanessa Zuber, the statewide Director of Employment Services for United Cerebral Palsy of Southern Arizona. And I'm going to just share all the members from that team who are going to be with us today. Kyla Barola, the Assistant Transition Coordinator, Jordan Chandler, the Employment Services Coordinator, and Jasmine Jimenez, the Assistant Program Director. So I am very excited to learn along with you while this team shares their journey today, and I am going to turn it over to them.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Gina, so much for the introduction. Today we're going to be joined, as Gina mentioned, by WorkAbility. They are our Employment First champions in the Customized Employment Pilot, in Arizona's Customized Employment Pilot, as we all know. So today's conversation really isn't about the service specifications or the paperwork involved. I just want to upfront that from the beginning. It's really about the organizational journey. We're going to explore what they've learned, how they've adapted, and what advice they have for organizations preparing to implement customized employment. And every organization has to start somewhere. So we're going to hope today that you leave with some practical ideas you can begin using regardless of where your organization is on this journey. So we're going to dive in right away to the questions just to get us going here. We have lots of things to talk about. So the first topic is why customize employment? And the first question I have is what inspired your organization to participate in the customized employment pilot? Who would like to answer that?
I'll take that one, and then I don't know, Jasmine, you want to hop on after that, but I think for us, we sort of had the gist of what customized employment was, but we never really felt like we could fully do it the way that we wanted to do it or the way that it should be done. So let me just say that. But I feel like we have been an innovative program since the get-go, and this sort of aligned with that, with how we do things. Um, and I also feel like we wanted to provide more services, be able to support more people with significant barriers. So I think we were very much committed to that. And then because we had the belief of employment first, we wanted to figure out ways in which we could do it. And so I feel like this experience, I think we were drawn to having that experience and getting more information, more resources on board to be able to do it.
Thanks, Vanessa. Jasmine, did you have anything to add to that or wanted to allow?
It's more for the next.
Okay. Sure, sure. Okay, so let's go into the next question. So before joining the pilot, what did your team think customized employment was?
Mhm. Well, just to what I believe is that that general idea of being able to match a job seeker or to an employer based on some of the needs that the employer has and some of the strengths that the members showed within their service, like with working with us. And then just to go into some of the questions below, I believe that we have done some of the pieces, but we weren't able to, like Vanessa mentioned, we weren't able to do it to the full extent that now we are in the customized employment pilot. We weren't doing the whole process, like what we're going through right now. And something that, I mean, I'm just going into the questions below. So
Yeah,
like
you're good.
really, now with the customized employment pilot, really slowing down our process of truly getting to know our members. And that's one area that, me and Vanessa in our discussions, we realized that, the initial part of the pilot, the discovery piece, it really is very much involved and there's different perspectives to that. So I think her and I truly realized in the beginning, like this is where our workability can really, implement different things in order to, get to know our members. And that realizing it's okay to slow things down, that we don't have to, rush into anything. And this is going to be, and that's, I think it's also best practices, like slowing things down for our job seekers and realizing that that is something that they would appreciate and need.
Yeah, thank you, Jasmine. Thank you. Did you were there any surprises along the way, about customized employment?
I think that's the piece where, like I mentioned with the discovery, I think that's really the different perspectives to discovery and getting to know our members. Um, and I mean, I'm not to go into specifics, but there are different things involved in discovery that we hadn't done before.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jasmine. Thank
Mhm.
you. So if another organization or provider is considering customized employment, what should they do first before implementation, before they even begin services? What would you suggest?
You want me to talk? I can talk about this. So we feel that um first it involves learning about employment first. So really getting to know what that means. Because from there, when you have that belief that everybody can work, everything else falls into place after that, I think. I mean, it takes time and it takes work, but also understanding what customized employment is, what is all involved in customized employment, truly involved in it, and then committing to time to training, committing time to, improve your processes, but also into training, because I think that's important.
Thanks, Jasmine. Yeah, you're leading right into our next topic, which is building organizational readiness. And what has your organization done? You talked a little bit already around some of the things you started to do, but what has your organization had to do differently to prepare for customized employment?
Can I take that
Yeah.
first part, or do you want to?
Yeah.
And Kyle and Jordan just chime in if we're allowed to do that, Jessica. I
Yes,
think
yeah, of
one
course.
thing that we had to really come to terms with is that we had to let go the idea that a person had to be ready to work. I'll just say it. We had to let go that really when a person says, "Hey, I want to work," they're ready, So we had to sort of work through that piece of it from the get-go early on, like, okay, we've got to let go of that way of thinking, which goes back to fully becoming in alignment with employment first, right? Um, so there's that piece, but I don't know if the rest of you want to chime in, or Jasmine, if you want to continue. And
Yeah, and just to add to that, I know I was also thinking like um just more considering rather than thinking about, if this person is ready or not, it's more thinking about or considering what kind of supports they might need in order to continue to move forward with their goal of, becoming employed. So consider different supports.
it's almost like doing a reset, like, okay, let's look at the bigger picture.
What are some things you guys did for staff preparation? Did you guys have to kind of work through that a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had to implement, in addition to training, we added some more training. Like, I think people think, oh, you're trained, but it's not a one and done deal. Like, I think of it as a more organic process that you have to revisit time and time again. The only, I think, because I feel that way is because every person that comes is different. And I also think we take deeper levels of understanding each time we do it, right? So I almost feel like you just have to be open to the idea that you're always going to be revisiting conversations, or it's continuous, I think. And so we spent a lot of time, we call it our Tuesday topics meeting rather than a, okay, what you guys do, but it's a Tuesday talk. We get together as a group and we revisit these conversations, like, and we figure out other things around it, and how can we get our staff all kind of on the same page. I know, Jasmine, you have a certain phrase that you like to use. If you,
Well, I know we mentioned, I mean, you mentioned the continued conversations, but also encouragement, keeping, that up, encouraging the staff. Um, one other thing was under the building new habits was really having discussions um, like uh like the intentions when it comes to employer engagement and changing that. from what we typically would probably do in that process, and then changing language that we use when it comes to, employer engagement. And even here, like within the office, using different language.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Jasmine. And you're leading right into our next topic, which is creating the right culture for customized employment. So we know customized employment is more than just a new service, like you guys are describing. It's a new way of thinking or a mindset switch. How has participating in this pilot really influenced your organization's culture? How has it influenced conversations among staff? And what has it changed how you think about employment services?
Okay, I'll answer this one. I feel like I'll put some input in here. I would say like coming into this, I'm very new, like 2 years into, these services and everything. Um, it was very new for me to hear about customized employment and then hearing the pilot and the idea. But, like everybody's saying, if you have that belief, the employment first, I've always seen that as like, that is the way to go, that's awesome to hear. And going into this pilot, it's like it influenced a lot of conversation regarding creativity, and building connection within the creativity, right? How can you get to know people? How can you get to know somebody? And then still pair it with, employment and a purpose and taking it and wanting that motivation too. Like it was all involved in there. If it's for me, how it changed how I think about employment services, honestly, for me it was very cool to see and still cool to see like everybody here and how I've been like working with people in general to see how many people are dedicated, to implementing accessibility as far as we can reach it. And that's something that's just a super big motivator for sure, like going into this pilot and learning as I go with everybody.
I can add a little bit to this too. Um, One thing about the conversations, it kind of changed my mindset, how I talk with other people in the office, basically emphasizing the focus on teamwork with those that are involved in the job seeker's life. So, also going off what you said, Kyla, that allows for a lot of creativity because you're able to obtain more information about the job seeker from those individuals that surround them, which isn't something that I typically did before. So it's been helpful in that. And then it also changed my perspective some. I think of certain people who are in other services and how they could benefit from customized employment. I think about those who maybe have struggled in the past with seeking jobs and how this could be an opportunity for them to um, move forward in job searching or finding employment that's more meaningful to them.
Mhm. Can I say one thing about this too?
Yeah, please.
I think culturally, we're less focused on the placement. We're more focused on the entire big picture of it all. Like the focus is much more, it's broad rather than like, let's get this person a job.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you. So with that, and maybe Vanessa or Jasmine, you can kind of answer this question. You know, as leaders, how do you help create that culture where clearly your staff feel comfortable in slowing down, being more curious, more creative, and trying those different things?
Do you want to take that one, Jazz, or do you?
Yeah, I think thinking through that question, it's really about, I think part of it is leadership, having someone who believes it, but also who um, is encouraging us to slow down and be curious and do all of these things, and having conversations, continued conversations that we mentioned before, like in our Tuesday topics, continuing to have discussions around, um, doing these things that are listed in the question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Anyone else have anything to say? We can move on to the next one. We have plenty of topics to talk about.
You're cutting out, Jessica.
Please. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
My, just let me know if that happens and I'll repeat. Um, we're gonna move on to the next one unless Vanessa, you had something else. I just want to make sure. Nope. Okay. All right. So we're going to go into preparation and making sure we're getting ready. We're building a culture. Now we are looking at our staff and preparing our employment specialists or whatever you may call them in your organization. What have you learned about preparing employment specialists for customized employment? We're talking about, trainings, what types of coaching, how do we build confidence and make sure that there's time to learn?
Mhm. Does anybody want to take that one, or do you want me to kick us off?
Maybe you can kick us off and then we can just chime in.
I mean, I think you're going to hear a common theme, I think, throughout this, which is training, training, resources, don't stop, keep collecting resources, keep having conversations, right? So training, I mean, that was a big one. I mean, we went ahead and committed, we had multiple people get ACRE certified. We just went ahead and funded it. And it was a nice companionship to some of the other training. Um, so I think it helped us become more committed and have a deeper understanding of the process. So I think that's something that we've learned is that we just have to set aside time for that. Does someone else want to hop in?
I think for also like we've mentioned this multiple times, but like continuing those discussions with staff and then really having like set expectations around like customized employment in general, how it should be, the process of it, how it should go, what are some things we need to make sure we do, um, like the benefits, benefits of customized employment and how that can support, our job seekers. Um, I mean, for confidence, I think in order for somebody to be confident, they have to be able to understand what they're doing. So really making sure people understand what it is that they have to do and also seeing how like the process of it. And I think also for me, it's like the success stories that we have, like that can also build confidence in how we're doing things and, continue the process because we know that it works.
Mm-hmm. I think too, having like also, how do we put it in the practice? Like, let's walk through it. Like, we understand, right, in an esoteric way, like how it works, but then let's like walk through it together. Like, walk me through. Let's look at it together. Okay, what else can we do? What else can we do to collect? Because I think collecting data, like you have to be able to get all the information, right? As much information as you can from all the different outlets. I think just, those are things that we've had to sort of provide encouragement and reassurance. Like, it's okay. It's okay that it's taking time. It's okay that, you didn't like get these 10 things done. Like, you got these very crucial 3 things done, and that's great. And okay, let's look into how we can expand that more.
Yeah, and I think too, you mentioned Vanessa, I just want to dive into a little bit more. You messaged that you invested time into training and you guys looked into acre training. A lot of folks on this call may not be aware that there was also a Arizona Customized Employment training provided. We called that ACE training, and that staff took that, and part of that was online in a self-paced version, but then another chunk of that was through technical assistance through on the job training as well. And what can you tell us a little bit about that, or like the comparison of ACE training versus ACRE, or just in general, how you guys approach that training?
You guys want
Kyla or Jordan, you guys were involved in that as well, so you guys wanna.
I could kick this part off. I think the ACE training and the ACRE training complemented each other, but the ACE went more in depth, into the customized employment parts. I think something that was really helpful from it, Jasmine mentioned it, the success stories and seeing individuals from the examples in the training that were able to obtain employment successfully through customized employment and how they went through that process with discovery where they weren't just asking questions like where do you want to work, what do you like to do as a job, your daily tasks. It was more observing what does the person like to do or find interest day to day. So that really started to expand my mind more. Because before I felt like I was just doing those direct questions, and this really made me branch out and take a look at, you know, okay, this person's interested in this topic. What sort of jobs are related to that? And then you might find out, oh, they don't actually want to do anything with that. They enjoy that topic, but it's not what they have in mind for a full-on career. So I guess that's my little bit I got. That's all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Kyla.
I can add, yeah, that for me, the training itself ended up being very helpful. I feel like again, like with the success stories, it like kind of, you know, going like into new with the customer employment, I was going with certain expectations, and this training helped with, resetting the expectations to like just something a bit different, when like, again in terms of like what questions to be asking and like what things to break down, right? Like there's many things in employment and like topics that you can break down, but when you're like working within like this type of process, it allowed for that type of slow down in the thinking and being like, yeah, what factors can be involved for this person to be as most successful as they can, and find it that works best for them. So I think with there's a lot of like supplemental information, that like again it works. I agree that it's like it's stuff that you have to kind of just be repeatedly like kind of going back to. And then again you have I feel like a deeper understanding when you go back into it again. So I don't know. It really did help with building that understanding just even stronger.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Those are excellent examples of the differences, and I also really appreciate when working with you guys. It's very much apparent that from the beginning until today, that training and your guys' leadership in this process is very has grown, and you guys have become leaders within customized employment and the employment services field. And I want to talk a little bit more about that leadership role and how important do you guys feel leadership has been throughout implementation? What kinds of things do leaders need to do differently? And when I talk about leaders, it's organizational leadership, but also leaders within this field of employment services and customized employment. Who would like to chime in or take those questions?
Um,
Do
I
you want to
guess I
kick it
can,
off, Jasmine?
I can start it.
Okay.
Um, so with this, so how important? So it's been helpful, and I mentioned this before, to have a leader who gets what customized employment is, what employment first is. Vanessa has been involved in this for many, many years. So having her as, that mentor has been really helpful in this whole process. Um, and being able to go to her to ask for advice and get different ideas around different things. I think we need that support, but also like you mentioned, like we've all become leaders in a way. Us being able to share what we're learning to, other ESCs who maybe are not involved in this process, but also job coaches. It goes down to that. And I think also one of the things that I do a lot is talking to families who are interested. So really like expanding on the different ways that, families could um, benefit from services like this. And I haven't shared like customized employment specifically, but like, we are doing a better job, I think, in the process in general, because, like I said, it comes down from Vanessa to us to then, the rest of the staff, and then being able to talk about this whole process. And then I think what leaders need to do differently, just truly believe that customized employment works, um, understand how it works, and then again, being able to talk through the whole process, brainstorming. Um, Kyla mentioned, being creative in the process. Um, Jordan, do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
I just wanted to say like the I was kind of nervous at first with the process because it was new to me, but uh, having Mile, Vanessa, Jasmine, Jessica all being there to help out, and when I have questions or about something related to a form or something, just having leaders that are there to support you, and being able to get to them directly, quick contact, that's also really helpful. Um, I think that was the main thing, is I started to get nervous, have a question, get it answered, and then I could refocus and get back to the goal in mind.
Great, thank you guys. So what advice would you give to executive directors? And maybe this one would be more for Vanessa, and employment managers preparing their organizations for customized employment. What advice would you give?
I think it goes back to some of the things we've been talking about, like being willing to dedicate time to understand what fully employment first means, what is customized employment, and going through all the training, and then, dedicating and committing to the fact that you're going to have to make time. You're going to have the time to do it, but also to support your staff. And I think just talking about it, realize that it's not a homogenized process. It's not a one size fits all. So it's going to look different depending on the person coming through. And then, one of the things that's been funny for me, like looking back, and I think about people that we've tried to support and it wasn't very successful, I was like, oh, now I can see now how we could have maybe done things differently. Like, it really does make you think differently around how you might approach barriers, and just being open to that. And so be patient with yourself and with the systems, because there's also a lot of collaboration that has to happen. So we all have to like get over the past and like see forward, move forward and work together, um, and trust the process, I think, So those are some things I think I would say, and build in activities and discussion forums so you can continue to talk through and process things as you're developing processes, right? As you're beginning to provide a structure to be able to do it. So those are things I would say.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. We are going to move into the next set of questions. And this is really, I think, gauged more around like the different things that we've had to change, that our mindset changing, right? And the first thing I'd like to start with is the employer engagement. And so within customized employment, Jasmine kind of alluded to earlier about how employer engagement has also changed a bit, or you've had to kind of change the way you approach employers. What can you talk a little bit about more about that and how your organization approaches employers in customized employment, how those conversations have become a little bit different, and what kind of things you've used?
Yeah, so I think in general, like the conversations that we've had is even though we know that the end goal is employment, we want, job seekers to work. It really has to start with going into different businesses and not so much what can you do for me, it's more what can we do for you. So finding out like those needs that they might have, being a little more curious, um, and changing like our intentions when we go into employer, and then again like changing the language that we're using. So we're not saying, we're not using terms that they're not familiar with, like client, because that seems, unfamiliar. It's unfamiliar to employers or businesses in the community. So I think those are some of the conversations that we've had quite a bit. Um, so yeah, being more curious about them, learning more about them, and taking time to observe, um, and then the yeah, so I don't know if I want to jump on to the next one, but
Yeah, no, thank you, Jasmine. Anybody else have anything to add to that? You're right. Approaching employers, like we've been working on through the pilot, is different. We're not there to sell. That's the other thing is it's not the accelerator. We're there to learn. So thank you, Jasmine, for explaining that, um, and really learn about their needs and what they do. Being curious, I like how you said that. Curious is a huge quality to have in this field or in customized employment. So, what practical advice would you give providers who are nervous about approaching employers in a different way, in this different perspective?
and so just from discussions, but also like from me being someone personally that gets nervous going into employers, it's just like we mentioned, being curious, but also keeping it casual to start. You don't have to go in the first time and try and get every single thing that you're looking for the first time. Taking time to really observe. Because sometimes we go in and we're like, oh my gosh, like who am I going to talk to? Who's going to be the right person? So really taking the time to observe and see who's doing the work and who might have that information that you're looking for. And like I said, you don't have to do all of that in the first visit. It can take several visits. So, making the time to go out and, do follow-up visits. Um, yeah, I think and knowing who you're going to talk to because that's how you're going to get the information.
Yeah, thank you, Jasmine. That's perfect. I love that. Now we talked about employer engagement and how we're thinking differently there. Let's move into working differently with our job seekers. How has customized employment changed the way your staff get to know job seekers? I would love to hear what you guys have done differently compared to what you were doing in the past. And like we said, talking about that curiosity and looking beyond just that resume and job application.
Okay, I'll cover some of those points there. Because I feel like it was a very cool thing to get to do is discovery, right? For the discovery mindset. When learning about discovery, I felt encouraged. I think what we were mentioning earlier, I did feel encouraged within the team, and discussions, right, in my training to really dive into being curious, like that was a big emphasis, being curious and in turn being creative to gather more information for our person, right? Or in an unconventional way that you don't really see within like an office environment. And I think that was like the really cool thing about discovery itself. When they adopt a discovery mindset, they give opportunities for more natural ways to learn about the job seeker and discover their unique strengths and talents that, again, you don't really see present, right? If it's part of a personality, right? You don't always necessarily see all your personality at work. So it's like work and other pieces like B, right? Where else can we see that? So being curious, right, helped to ask better questions when going through that training and going through to not just have the yes or no's and having more open-ended. And basically like helped me slow down in a lot of different ways, allowed me to reflect on the capabilities of our job seekers and then question the way that jobs tasks are done. So instead of necessarily questioning the job seekers, it allowed me to question the job tasks, be like, hey, like, why was this made this way? Can it be made another way? Can it be made even just slightly different, right? And then just being able to apply that when even I think I remember like applying the thought of like universal design and thinking like in any workplace in any work area that I'm here, if every single person was just that client, right? How can it be that this workplace is the best for them or can it work for them in that sense? So just asking a lot of those questions throughout the process was a big shift in that. And then like looking beyond the resume, I feel with that, there's only so much sometimes I feel like documentation can explain of a person or anybody. I feel like with anybody, it takes time, it takes effort and patience to get to know someone, to build a relationship, to build that connection. So I feel like Discovery allowed for that relationship building, meeting in like, favorite environments and connecting with people that are very close to them, help build that familiarity with the job seeker and allow for like the comfort to share and find the interests, for that job. So that was a piece of it.
Mark, I'd like to apologize for my tardiness and my speaker. Wow. So I apologize.
No
I'm
worries.
okay now.
Perfect.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Sorry for being late.
No, you're good. You're all good. All right. Thank you so much, Kyla. And I know there are some questions coming in. I just wanted to make sure you knew we're going to leave a couple, if we can, a couple minutes in advance, like just before we end here to answer some questions. And then we'll certainly look at those questions later too, if we can, to answer some of those. But we're going to move forward in questions here. Jordan or anybody, did you have anything else to add before I move on?
I would just like to say I heard what Carla said, and I would like to say that I totally agree with Kyla because if you don't, I think it's very important to build that overall relationship with the client and build the rapport from the very beginning and establish some strategies and whatnot. So
Yes. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. I appreciate your perspective, and I love. Thank you so much.
thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about, how you guys have done, made these changes and helped your team. You talked about slowing down, really getting to understand the individual job seeker, switch things. Like Kyla, for instance, I know that you've changed some of your hours sometimes just to make sure you fit in activities that you want to get to see the individuals working at, right? Like maybe you work a little bit later or you come in a little earlier or you schedule some time on a Saturday, to make sure that you're seeing those individuals at where in different environments, right? And that's different than what we're used to. Also taking the time to get out of the office, right? And that's one thing I want to emphasize is that out of the office, normal job, you know, we're used to kind of doing those applications, rapid fire, Indeed or whatever it is, right? In traditional job development. That is not customized employment. You guys have done a great job at stepping out of that and really getting into the community, meeting people where they are, being creative, being curious so that you can find out all the information that you can. So with that I just described, that there are definitely some challenges that come with those types of things, right? And so every organization experiences challenges during an implementation process, right? And in general, as you go, there will be more challenges. So without getting into those specific cases that we talked about today, what have been some of the biggest organizational lessons that you've learned? Or it doesn't have to be totally organizational, but like specific things that have happened that have challenged you and you've been able to learn from those. Anybody want to take that? It's a hard
I,
question.
I could start on it. Um, I think what you mentioned, changing your mindset to get out into the community is super important. At first, I was a little nervous about it, I guess, even though I've done it before, but really changing that mindset and getting out there because you will find more information that way. You will get better results. In the office, I had a meeting starting out and I was just asking questions. And then I started to realize, well, I'm getting these short responses. I'm not getting too much detail. And then I was like, okay, let's change the setting. Let's go out. I'll meet the person where they're at. And I kept it casual, walking around, looking at things. And then boom, I got so much more information that way. I think it made the job seeker feel more comfortable too. So just that challenge of forcing yourself to get out there, um, not feeling bound to the office.
Yeah, that was a big one. And I'd like to add, I think we noticed it throughout the pilot, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time invested and we have to commit to, seeing members and or job seekers and meeting with them. And sometimes there will be situations where you spend so much time with job seekers and then, their circumstances change and then they maybe leave. So all of that time spent, with the members is in a way has to be put on hold, but I think it's realizing that it's okay. We all have different things that come up in our lives, and we just have to be okay with that happening. And then, if there's members who maybe aren't as consistent or, maybe they're struggling with different things, I think just meeting them where they are, and if it's something where they have to put things on hold and then be able to come back, like that's perfectly fine for them to do. And I know that's something, we talked about, but I think that's one thing that we kind of have to realize that it's not gonna, we're not be able to see it through with every single person that we work with, unfortunately.
One thing that is a little different too that we've within customized employment is the collaboration between all of the important people within the job seeker's life, right?
Mhm.
And so, can you talk a little bit about like some of the strategies you guys used for collaboration, perhaps, and thinking outside the box of making sure everybody is a team player?
Mm, well, I mean, through the process, we've realized, it can't just be us as the vendor. It has to be not only the families but also the other supports that are in place for the individuals. Um, I think the input of other people is also good. And there may be things that us as the vendor are not aware of, and maybe somebody else on the team could you know, give suggestions or feedback about how we can better support the individual. I think that's one thing that through this process has been helpful to have all the different parties involved and truly be able to give like, oh, well, let's do this, or what about this? Like, will this work out? Even though, we don't have every single service that, you know, maybe the RDDD provides, but there might be other ways to still keep implement that support for the member.
Yes, thank you so much. And collaboration, as you know, is such a huge piece within customized employment. It's not just one person, it's a whole 360 So let's move into so that we can make sure that we have some time for questions. I want to move into what I would call the lightning round and quick answers from each of you, if you don't mind. So, making sure the first thing that comes to your mind, one word that describes customized employment.
I was going to say holistic.
I said discovery.
Sorry, Kyle.
No, no, it's so bad. I mean, I was thinking like unique, I feel like it's something very, very new, very different.
For me, flexible because it allows for a lot of different ways you can gather info.
Thank you. One thing every employment specialist needs.
Training.
Curiosity.
Mhm.
Yeah, curiosity, open-minded. That's what I'm thinking too.
I said support.
Support. Great. Thank you. One thing every supervisor should know.
Everyone can work.
I was going to say mission driven, like get your mission to stand behind it.
Jordan?
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. The main thing, everyone can work, and then just making sure you've got your people's back.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, it's a support. Yeah, support.
Everything an executive or one thing, not everything. That would be a long list. That would be a lightning round. One thing every executive director should invest in, or your organization should invest in, I should say.
I think I jumped the gun early, but mission driven, that's what I meant. Sorry.
I would say training.
Oh,
I was also gonna say training.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Continuous training. So even after the first stuff, keeping it going, hitting on the topics over time.
One organizational habit or practice that has made a big difference in this pilot.
Slowing down.
communication.
Yeah, definitely. I would say communication also because it's important to involve the whole team as you go.
Yeah, a collaboration, I would say.
One lesson you didn't expect to learn. The harder question.
For me, it was we get our members that come in with certain employment goals, um, but then really it's not that. So really, it takes a deeper understanding, um, to know what their true employment goal is.
Anybody else want to take that one? One lesson you didn't expect to learn.
Takes time. It takes more time than you think it might take time.
Mhm.
So just add several times to that time.
I I feel I'm an organized person, but a lesson I learned is to be even more organized. Not even in a stressful way, but just to make sure I'm allocating my time properly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say time management helped a lot within this, and I was gonna say similar to what Nicole said though in the chat of that in the end, like when speaking with clients or anybody, everybody wants the same things, whether it not just be employment, whether it could just be like, building connections or friendships and being out in society, like those are the things that I'm sure like with employment can find that fulfilling piece for people, but just seeing that it's not even the employment piece, right? It's everything else around that when it comes to interacting and working together and going out to places and all that. Like that was the big thing there for sure.
Thank you guys. Thank you. So final lightning round question. Fill in this sentence, fill in this blank. Customized employment is wait. Customized employment is
Um, I said person-centered and is based on job seekers' strengths, skills, and preferences. I'm not sure if it had to be one word or not, but
oh, you're good. Just fill in the sentence. You're good. You're on it. Who would like to go next?
Uh,
Jordan.
I would say customized employment is a way for employment first. It's like the best practices.
Mhm.
Don't be shy. Kyla.
I know, so it's on the spot. Um, I mean, the way that I see it is like customized employment is possible for everyone. You know, there shouldn't be any limit, and that's like the belief in itself. You know, if they have the urge, we should explore it.
Vanessa, do you have one?
Well, it's sort of echoing what Jasmine was saying, person-centered supports that basically finding and creating jobs that match where people are. And it's all this collaborating that goes into it, and it's a definite journey. So
Yeah, thank you
I feel
guys
like
so
I'm
much.
echoing what she said, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. That was all our questions for today for this panel. But I know that we do have some questions in the chat. Um, just know that we will take a look at those questions. If anybody wants to, we have a minute or two to jump off. We can do that. But first, before we do that, I want to just say thank you guys. Thank you, Workability, for coming on here to share your experiences today and to be the champions, some employment first champions, as we talked about through the customized employment, really, really putting in a whole organizational effort and belief and changing their culture and really diving into this pilot and how successful that has really been and what we've learned from your experience as well as this this whole pilot. You've really been instrumental to this pilot, and I thank you so much. Thank you for all the support, and thank you for being here today and sharing your experiences. We know that this does not capture everything, like we have so much more to talk about, but we're hoping that through this discussion and ongoing, we can continue to share those success stories, the belief and that mindset switch through the state of Arizona as customized employment is implemented in the future. So appreciate you guys. It is 11 o'clock. If folks are wanting to stick around and have some questions, we could certainly do that as much as we can allow. But for those of you who do have to jump off, I'll turn it over to Gina really quick for anything we might need to say.
I do. I have closing remarks. First of all, thank you all. Thank you, Workability. You all are getting love in the chat, so stop and read that because we all should accept our extra love. This has been a wonderful experience, and I appreciate you all sharing your insights and lessons learned with our community today. I'll encourage anyone attending who has more questions. Renita, we see your question. Reach out to us. That's part of what the Employment First team is here for. So feel free to connect with us. I know my email address is there in the chat. And we are here to support you all in making the philosophy of employment first into a reality in a lot of different ways. So please reach out, and I encourage you all to come back and join us in August. We're going to have a wonderful panel of folks who have successfully navigated our employment systems and are working and happy. They all have to take time off work to come share that with you, but they've arranged for that. So we look forward to seeing you next month. Keep doing great things, and please take the survey when it opens when you exit. Have a good week.